Your presumption that we have even less choice today is based on the fact that you're accepting the banning of the Awami League. My point is that we cannot do that because that would be the death of democracy in Bangladesh. And I think that, these letters that the UN agencies have written are really significant because they demand a reply. Bangladesh has always attached great importance to the UN. Bangladesh's peacekeepers, Bangladesh's officers and policemen, army officers and policemen participate very actively in UN peacekeeping operations.
Absolutely.
And they have a very good reputation of participating in peacekeeping operations. It's very important for them. For the army, it's a lifeline. It's very important. Now, you can't accept one part of the UN activity, which is participation in peacekeeping operations, and then refuse or reject or keep silent on another set of questions that has come to you from another part of the UN. In 2009, when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina came to power, she said, I will respect India's security red lines. I will not support any insurgent groups. We will work for economic...
That Tariq Rahman is also saying.
No, but those insurgent groups are already back in Bangladesh. I mean, Paresh Baro has been seen in Bangladesh.
We have just arrested a couple of elite guys who were holed up in Bangladesh.
Yeah, those elite guys are the ones who have come from Pakistan, because that's another issue, that what has happened with Pakistan over the last 18 months. And today, yes, Pakistan is quiet and some elite people have been arrested, and hopefully there will be no more coming across. But then all the earlier restrictions on Pakistan access to Bangladesh have been removed. But they have not, the
restrictions are not restored.
Exactly. The restrictions have not been restored. So now they have voted. But tell me, what about all the Hindus who were forced out of their jobs? Whether they were in the police, whether they were in the army, whether they were in the
government. So that redressal must come.
Exactly. They have to get back their jobs. That's what they're looking for. But none of that has started yet. Of course, it is early days. I fully agree with you. It's early days. So we're not making any kind of definitive judgment on Prime Minister Tariq Rahman. It's too early to make that. Rather, I think these are just
ideally one should start criticizing after 6 months. But unfortunately, in Bangladesh, I don't think Mr. Rahman will get that much of time. I don't think so.
And it's not criticism. It is to point out what is needed to improve the situation.
Hi, welcome to Podcast with Pratim. I have with me Ambassador Veena Sikri. She was ambassador in Dhaka. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
So, madam, you just listed out our disappointments. Now, my point is simple. When we see, we earlier had a limited choice in Bangladesh with the Awami League BNP. One of the reasons of favoring Hasina government was the lack of choice. Now we have even less choice with BNP and Jamaat. That said, we are run out of options. So we are supposed to keep supporting BNP government, whatever it does. Is that the case?
No, I don't say we've run out of option. In fact, your presumption that we have even less choice today is based on the fact that you're accepting the banning of the Awami League. My point is that we cannot do that because that would be the death of democracy in Bangladesh. And I think that, these letters that the UN agencies have written are really significant because they demand a reply. Bangladesh has always attached great importance to the UN. Bangladesh's peacekeepers, Bangladesh's officers and policemen, army officers and policemen participate very actively in UN peacekeeping operations.
Absolutely.
And they have a very good reputation of participating in peacekeeping operations. It's very important for them. For the army, it's a lifeline. It's very important. Now, you can't accept one part of the UN activity, which is participation in peacekeeping operations, and then refuse or reject or keep silent on another set of questions that has come to you from another part of the UN.
Right. Now we have seen in Bangladesh, UN used this lever at least twice in last 20 years.
Yes.
One was in 2007.
Yes.
The other this time.
Yes.
And when UN uses, it is actually, we common people do assume that it is actually US using that lever.
Well, I mean, they get the army.
So my point is simple. Where are our levers? Can we force UN to do that?
These questions need an answer. And in the UN, it should be come up. Now, the foreign minister of Bangladesh is standing for election as president of the UNGA. How can you be wanting election as president of the UNGA when you're not respecting the wishes of UN organizations and giving answers on those wishes? They should be given. I think these are very important issues because the future of stability, prosperity, and democracy in Bangladesh is at stake. What does India want in Bangladesh? We want a friendly Bangladesh. We want a peaceful, prosperous, stable, and democratic Bangladesh, where all the
That
democratic
doesn't threaten my security.
exactly. And you were saying that we had chosen Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. I would like to say here that we have always respected Sheikh Hasina's decision to respect India's security red lines. And that was the basis why in 2009, as against the earlier regime of BNP of 2001, 2006, in 2009, when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina came to power, she said, I will respect India's security red lines. I will not support any insurgent groups. We will work for economic.
That Tariq Rahman is also saying.
No, but those insurgent groups are already back in Bangladesh. I mean, Paresh Baro has been seen in Bangladesh.
We have just arrested a couple of elite guys who were holed up in Bangladesh.
Yeah, those elite guys are the ones who have come from Pakistan, because that's another issue, that what has happened with Pakistan over the last 18 months. And today, yes, Pakistan is quiet and some elite people have been arrested, and hopefully there will be no more coming across. But then all the earlier restrictions on Pakistan access to Bangladesh have been removed. But they have not, the
restrictions are not restored.
Exactly. The restrictions have not been restored. The trade, the cargo, no inspection of cargo. There was so much report in the Bangladesh media about what was coming in the cargo, RDX and other explosives.
Yesterday, one Bangladesh origin journalist, Zulkarnain Sayer, he had tweeted about a camp in that Rangamati border area, right?
Yes.
And it is a drone picture, and apparently it is the thing operates in complete secrecy.
Okay. Whose camp is it? What did she say? What did the journalist say? What kind of a camp was it?
He didn't say. The indications are very clear. It's by some group which is into certain clandestine activities.
Well, okay, because that's very, talking about the Cox's
He
Bazar.
spoke about the leader of the group and etc. So it is clearly another mercenary or terrorist, whatever you call them, is that activity over there.
Exactly. Now, there's a lot of talk of all this coming in the Bangladesh media. There's talk of what's happening in Tendiv, in Ramu, which is near Cox's Bazar. Who are these activists who are being trained, talking about the Rohingya group in Bangladesh? Who is coordinating them? What is the Bangladesh army? So many activities. Now, these are all aspects which are of great interest for India's security red lines. And we are concerned about this. So I think that what I'm merely highlighting is that we would like to see the restoration of full democracy in Bangladesh. And now that the UN has raised these crucial issues, I think they deserve an answer. And if there is a completely, right now, of course, BNP is in power and surely they will remain in power, but their actions while in power is what will determine the future of India's interest in having good relations with Bangladesh, having, a Bangladesh which is democratic, allows all parties to prosper, does not allow radicalization. Because without that control, the Awami League is a great factor, although there are a lot of mistakes made by Sheikh Hasina, I have no doubt about that, and I can, we can talk about that as well. But the point is that basically the Awami League stands for de-radicalization.
That is exactly what many BNP leaders, the last being Mirza Abbas, who is now unwell and is admitted somewhere. So Prime Minister Tariq Rahman's advisor. So Mirza Abbas said that Awami League is the right medicine for Jamaat. Right. That is exactly what they say. Madam, since we have a limited time, so I'm taking you to a more, towards a resolution sort of way. Now, this UN and etc. are longish affairs. We know how things, we don't have much faith on that, right? I mean, forget about some Bangladesh. Which war did UN stop, right? So here comes the levers. Now, Foreign Minister Khalilur Rahman will be visiting soon, I think, followed by Mr. Tariq Rahman is supposed to come. Not official yet, but it's understood. Now, here are the issues. So we had no option but BNP when the election took place to support. That said, today the situation is that the Tariq Rahman government is in for a crisis which they haven't anticipated. The economy was already in very bad shape. Yunus left it in very bad shape where they were borrowing to meet the current expenses. And as in February 2026, the inflation was closer to double digit. So it is just easy to understand that where Bangladesh has now landed up, and already petrol is selling in black at 200 to 250 per liter, and you know the rest of the stories. Bangladesh is now broke, actually. Inflation will shoot. So my question is, Mr. Khalilur Rahman will be coming for energy and water. And of course, I mean, so we will be the biggest savior. We have to be once again. Are we going to assert, or what are we going to ask for in return? They will need financial support. I'm 100% sure about it.
I think that, of course, the talks will be comprehensive. There's the Ganga Waters Treaty coming up at the end of the year. There is the energy programs we have painstakingly established with Bangladesh to give them the energy security. There is the Adani project. There is the pipeline, Numaligarh pipeline going there. We've already given a lot of diesel to Bangladesh under special dispensation through the pipeline. And, many people in Bangladesh are taking it for granted. This was already done. This was already agreed. So whenever it benefits Bangladesh, they are quoting an agreement done under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina.
Let us forget that they don't understand these nuances that they say that we are buying it. Yes, you are buying it. We are also buying crude from the world, but where to get it?
Exactly.
Right at this moment, that is the
and also there are many aspects of the cooperation between India and Bangladesh that have been stalled in the last 18 months. So I think this is the first aspect. If you want cooperation, and we want cooperation, I think our government has shown great strategic restraint. Now today they're showing great interest in improving the relationship with the BNP government. And I think that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's a good thing.
I'm saying
the point is, are we going to ask for something in return? Are we going to assert our position?
I think the moving towards genuine democratic freedoms has to be there, because what is happening in Bangladesh today is that the Jamaat-e-Islami is trying to assert itself and trying to come into the government. There's a lot of talk in Bangladesh that, the original June 25 agreement when Mohammed Yunus went to London and met Tariq Rahman, that original agreement was that Yunus will be president, Tariq Rahman will be prime minister, and the Amir of Jamaat-e-Islami will be the deputy prime minister. So that agreement is now being recalled, and there's still pressure on for Yunus to be president.
Even if that doesn't happen, madam, I mean, I'm 100% sure the way economy is going to face, the economy will face the mother of all challenges this time.
To repair the economy of Bangladesh.
So what will happen is anti-establishment will rise very, very fast. And Jamaat has that opportunity as the principal opposition. So they have a clear opportunity to make ground unless Awami League is there, unless there is competition, political competition. So are we going to assert this time about the deliverables on the participatory democracy part?
We should. I think we should. Because without that, there will be complete chaos. You're absolutely right. The economy is in a very poor situation. Nobody has any idea how to repair the situation. And even if India, with the best will in the world to help Bangladesh, you can't do it piecemeal. You can't do it piecemeal. It has to be a whole, even the IMF conditionality, those are not being observed. Those have been thrown out of the window long back, So all
they're not going to get finance.
Exactly. So, you can't expect, in the case of Sri Lanka, in case Bangladesh is looking at what we did with Sri Lanka, when
my anticipation is that Bangladesh will request for aid.
Okay, and that's why I'm giving that comparison. Sri Lanka, they say you gave Sri Lanka 4 billion. We've already given Bangladesh 8 billion. Much of that 8 billion has not even been used. So if you want to use it, you have to have bilateral agreement on how to use it. We have to insist it's used in a way that will restore the Bangladesh economy, restore a system in the Bangladesh economy. Because the aid, if it's thrown just into a...
No, you cannot throw it into the water.
Exactly. In Sri Lanka,
I cannot give you just to pay your salaries. You have to pay. You have to do something.
In Sri Lanka, it was part of a well-coordinated plan. How to restore the economy,
And Sri Lanka came back so sharply.
Exactly.
From a broke situation, they came back so sharp.
Exactly. So that is why I'm referring to the Sri Lanka example. So basically, I think there has to be very clear and sharp negotiations. I would not dismiss what the UN is saying, because if we do, then we ourselves, getting rid of one of the agencies which could point to Bangladesh that, look, why should, if you want to dismiss the UN, then dismiss the peacekeeping also. Then dismiss the candidacy for the UNGA presidency also. You
I
can't
also dismiss the UN human rights.
exactly.
Mr. Volker Turk.
Exactly. That too, exactly. Which was partial. We know it was partial. So you cannot have a cherry picking when you're coming to the UN. So we have to look at everything in a comprehensive way. And I think this is the time. I think that Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, from his initial responses, shows himself very favorable towards the democratic reforms. And he was very much in favor of, bringing the Awami League back. Maybe the pressure from the Jamaat-e-Islami is preventing him from doing so, because of course they are exerting a lot of pressure on his government.
Pressure within the party. I mean, tell me one reason why they should have an interest in bringing Awami League back.
Within the party, there's a moderate faction and there's a pro-Jamaat faction. We know that. Within the BNP, there are these two factions. The pro-Jamaat faction is not interested in bringing the Awami League back. But the liberal faction has, from the very beginning, even in May 2025, they have been making statements saying, no, we do not believe in banning political parties.
Yes, Mr. Fakhrul Mirza himself said once.
Yes, exactly. And also, how can you, as I'm saying, the UNGA pointing out that this is not in keeping with any democratic norms. The UN, any political party, you can't pick up and ban a whole...
What had happened in Bangladesh is simple. They first pushed out Awami League, the biggest factor, and then Jatiyo Party. So it was what the result, the election that we are seeing is farcical. It is not reality, something. It is something beyond reality. So that side...
Yeah, so while we're ready to work with the BNP government in Bangladesh, that is absolutely clear. We will continue to do that. We will continue to find ways to have an agreement. Now, you want the Bangladesh economy to recover. Even the trading conduits, the trading relationship has not been restored. All those special concessions which were there earlier.
Which we want to be restored, which we want trade to continue. And, the interest this time is huge from Bangladeshi side.
Yes, but what about the connectivity?
And so all about, my point is, all I want is that whatever India does, let India do, but it must assert itself. Let there not be a Hasina experience where we actually gave the handle to Hasina.
Now, I agree. I would not use the word assert, but I would say that it has to be a comprehensive agreement covering not just the economy. Economy is vital for Bangladesh, for India. We believe in good economic relations with Bangladesh, but it's much more than that, because until you restore the system of democracy, the democracy will continue. The judges are long reappointed, continue giving wrong judgment. Then where is any system? There is no system at all. It will just be completely arbitrary. And that, the extortions have already started. People are saying, the extortion system is back. So the common man is completely unhappy. That is very real. And if we want peaceful relations between India and Bangladesh, there must be peace in Bangladesh. And I think that the discussion...
There must be peace and prosperity in Bangladesh.
Yes.
So that helps us. That is all we want.
Exactly. And, this whole business of showing maps of Northeast India, talking about Northeast India being in Bangladesh. No, these were, statements made by Yunus, but there is no attempt to go away from those statements. Because
they are doing so. We are just at the end of it. So I'm not prolonging it to cut it short. So I really, once again, going back to Mr. Mustafa, I said that he's doing, but in small doses, because he's wary of criticism from around.
No, wary of criticism. It depends on his own party's views, number one. And wary of criticism from the Jamaat-e-Islami. From whom? Jamaat-e-Islami is exerting pressure, and Jamaat-e-Islami has a totally different vision of what they want with Bangladesh. Even what they did with Pakistan in 18 months is indicative of what kind of uh, uh, you know, vision of Bangladesh they have. But Prime Minister Tariq Rahman is very good because he celebrated the Genocide Day. He's talked about, that we must get away from that. He is willing to respect the original constitution, and he is also willing to, his own father's contribution to that is also one thing that he wants recognized. That's also, all that is fine. But the question comes to the political situation in Bangladesh and the economic situation in Bangladesh. These have to go economically hand in hand, and linked with these two is the security situation in Bangladesh. What you said about this, special camps and those kind of secret trainings which are going on. Now, does that help Bangladesh? The people of Bangladesh are not happy with that kind of situation. They're not happy with what is happening in Cox's Bazar and in Ramu and Tendib and so on. So, I think a greater openness in keeping with the democratic elections. I think Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, if he talks to our leadership, I'm sure that will come about, because that is essential. To say that we'll postpone Awami League, it's not a question of Awami League as a party. It's a question of the democratic institutions of Bangladesh. You need all democratic institutions to operate. You need a free
No,
judiciary.
you cannot just create an one-sided ground.
Yes. Yes.
And then, I mean, no one, I mean, I am the biggest critic of Awami League for their 2018 rigged elections and whatever. So that is that apart. So if you are saying that you are making a new Bangladesh and following even worse example, after all, Hasina did not ban BNP.
It should not ban anyone, exactly.
Uh,
And also, ignoring things like the hundreds of policemen who were killed. Now, these are institutions of state. A policeman is an institution of state which is very important for maintaining law and order. If you disrespect the institution
that is killing the government itself, because unless
exactly,
I mean if the police moral is down, if the once down, it's very difficult to get them back on their feet.
exactly,
So
and
that is where the law enforcement will suffer, and that is where the excesses will come from, right?
exactly.
Then you
And
will, we are hearing about this operations that they do regularly, and at the moment they go for these operations, then the excesses happen.
yes,
So you move in that cycle. So,
exactly.
so thanks, madam, for coming here. I think we have discussed. Yes, one thing I must add is that if we look at it, I mean, normative on a normative scale, Tariq Rahman is in power for only 1.5 months.
Yes.
So the criticism was not due to him that way. But the situation of Bangladesh is such that we are, if we look at economy, there is a 3.5 years backlog. If we look at a politics, there is a 2 year backlog. So it's all, so he has to work. I mean, otherwise the economic situation will worsen so fast that political situation will, it will be very weak, difficult for him to operate politically. I
Yes.
believe so.
Absolutely, I agree with you fully, because we always know that when you have a very weak economic situation, there's unemployment, high inflation, the people start coming across the border because there are no jobs there. And we know that, the tremendous successes Bangladesh has achieved in the ready-made garment sector, for example, is now completely reversed, because hundreds of factories have closed, hundreds of women, hundreds and thousands of women are without jobs.
Already
And
forex reserves are dropping.
forex reserves are dropping. How are they going to look after their families? Who's going to provide the looking after of the family, the daily food and welfare and the education of the children? Where is all that going to come from? So, this situation is very serious. And as a neighboring country, we have to look into it. And when Bangladesh raises some issues, all the issues have to be raised. They will raise some issues.
Right.
Sure. But we have to raise all the issues, because only then will Bangladesh get back on its feet. And I think we owe it to the 1971 Liberation War, to the freedom-loving people of Bangladesh, to those who believed in the values of the 1971 war and who always looked to India as a force that shares these values. India is somebody who shares these values with the people of Bangladesh. And that is what comes out so clearly when you talk to the young people of Bangladesh. They value India for that. Now, for example, let me give you one example. The anti-Indianism with which the events began in 2024, the July August, strong, vicious anti-Indianism. By the time of the election, that completely dissipated.
No, that dissipated by during the BNP rule.
No, I'm saying that
Yunus did not do any good to that.
I'm saying that in the campaigning, Yunus did nothing to dissipate.
In the
it.
campaigning, yes. In the
Yes.
campaigning, it was down. And
That's
also from the campaigning stage to this, the attack on Hindus have subsided.
Yes. So that shows that the government, Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, is willing to take that issue up. And the people of Bangladesh have also shown that they do not think
And
it benefits them. It does not benefit them.
Yes, BNP, for the first time, Hindus have went and voted en masse for BNP.
Yes, exactly. They did.
That's a big tectonic shift in Bangladesh.
Yes. And they are looking for a reward for that. They're looking for, I don't mean a reward in the terms of a normal reward.
But if the experiment is successful, then BNP is a net gainer. Bangladesh is a net gainer.
Yes, yes.
Because 7% of the population is not, was associated with one party. That was not good. So here you have the vote.
All right. So now they have voted. But tell me, what about all the Hindus who were forced out of their jobs? Whether they were in the police, whether they were in the army, whether they were in the
redressal must come.
Exactly. They have to get back their jobs that they're looking for. But none of that has started yet. Of course, it is early days. I fully agree with you. It's early days. So we're not making any kind of definitive judgment on Prime Minister Tariq Rahman. It's too early to make that. Rather, I think these are just
ideally one should start criticizing after 6 months. But unfortunately, in Bangladesh, I don't think Mr. Rahman will get that much of time. I don't think so.
And it's not criticism. It is to point out what is needed to improve the situation. And I think the UN pointers are important. They cannot be pushed under the carpet. You cannot cherry pick with the UN that we will push this under the carpet and we'll take the benefit of either the peacekeeping or the UNG or whatever. It's all one complete whole. Either you accept the UN as a whole or you reject it as a whole. So I think these are the aspects that need detailed discussion, and that to show that the goodwill is there. The goodwill is there and India wants good relations. I think that's true across the board in India, that we would like to have stable relations, but we don't want to have a situation where India's security interests are going to be affected by what is happening in Bangladesh.
Right.
And this is where the big worry is.